Hey there, guys. It's Archie here, and welcome back to HumourHub. Today we have our amazing guest, Eliana Scarborough, who produced and directed The Note.
Yes, it's a new film coming to streaming soon. It's a comedy horror. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Well, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming. Like, I'm sure you're so busy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited though, so I'm happy to be here.
So, can you talk to me about the production process?
Yeah.
And sort of what you did, when producing it.
Yeah, so obviously it's the first time I've been behind a camera from the start to finish. And I've definitely learned a lot from like my successes during the process and like as well as my mistakes overall and stuff.
Well, that sounds amazing. Today I'm going to split the sort of pod into 3 sections.
Okay.
So that's going to be sort of research, planning skills, and production skills, and sort of post-production skills. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's so chill.
Okay, let's dive straight in. So, Ellie, while you were researching and planning, give me a few examples of things you did and why you did them.
Okay, so in the pre-production stage, one of the very first things like we created was our storyboard. Once we decided on our idea, we weren't 100% sure on how each individual action and like how they would kind of play out. So we decided to use our narrative action points to make a first draft storyboard with 12 image sections for each and descriptions. And then we moved on to our second storyboard, which had 40 shots, which I did on my own. We just felt as a group that my drawing style was more detailed and it would be more helpful to our overall action of our piece. We did the whole storyboard to kind of get clarity in what we were doing and to kind of show how visually how I thought some of the shots were going to turn out. And I would definitely do this again for future projects. I think it was very helpful. I mean, obviously, even though we veered away from certain aspects in the actual piece, I do think that it definitely gave me a good understanding and kind of confidence in what we were going to film. And I definitely improved my drawing skills overall for all the images I drew.
Well, that's brilliant. From that detailed research, it seems it became such an amazing piece of work.
Yeah.
With your location research, sort of what did you do with that?
Okay, so we went as a whole crew and we kind of visited the multiple locations that we were thinking about doing. They're all very local. They're all in Cranley. And we looked into the interior of the shops. We kind of spoke to the members. After we did that, I gathered all of this information and put it into a PowerPoint. So I got all the pictures we took and I just kind of analyzed them. I added like some text boxes around them and I kind of just wrote a lot about them. And I definitely felt this really helped the process because we were kind of stuck in a few minds about which location to choose because we had a lot to choose from and obviously what would be perfect for like the shop because there's a shop scene in our piece. And it kind of just, centralized all of my information. I would definitely do this again. I just felt like, even though it did take a lot of time, I just think it was definitely helpful. So we knew that we wanted to use the Hazelbank stores in the end because it was the perfect we all agreed on it, like the perfect place for our shop to be. But yeah.
What other research methods did you do?
Another research activity I did which really helped was researching into similar products. So from doing this, I discovered Shaun of the Dead, which is a part of the Cornetto trilogy.
I've got to pause you. I just love Shaun of the Dead.
It's such a great film, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
So good. And it's part of a trilogy.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only watched the first one.
Yeah, no, so it's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End, which is all, got the same actors in, it's produced by the same person. It's very interesting. It's very good. You should watch the rest of them.
I will.
Cool. So these films were so helpful when deciding our genres and generally the themes of The Note. It helped me really gain clarity of what humor we would be using and also who our audience would be. So from this, I further developed my research skills and also learned how to do the quick shots needed to keep the humor at its height.
Well, how did you, because sort of you were taking inspiration from Shaun of the Dead. It's like a really intricately edited film.
Yeah.
Like, how did you sort of incorporate that or sort of use that with your project?
Yeah, it is. And I needed to keep this in mind for post-production and how we were going to need constant cuts and different other tools like, speeding up the shot and stuff like that.
So tell me a couple more skills that you sort of learned throughout the process, like with you and your group.
Doncha and Ryan, they were my co-directors and obviously like co-producers. They were so good and helpful throughout. Was definitely learning how to kind of communicate with one another efficiently, as well as obviously the external cast. So we used a Snapchat obviously as a group and created another group with other cast members. When it comes to communication, I'm usually very good at this, kind of from previous group projects I've done. Communication is obviously key to like working effectively.
I mean, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, I mean, it reduces room for error. And obviously just kind of general miscommunications, whether it's like planning and timings or like our ideas. And we constantly kept everyone in the loop, which made our shoot day run well and everyone was happy and comfortable acting. One of my favorite things about our sequence was Sarah Jane's acting. She played the grandma perfectly how I imagined her. And this kind of came down to the way we kept her in touch of what we wanted from her. So she turned up on the day in the perfect costume and knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, she was my favorite. I also absolutely loved that shopkeeper.
Yeah, that's Ali. He's an art teacher at our school and he was so cooperative and helpful throughout the process. So finally going back to earlier what you said, in our production process, we created a shot list containing all of the shots that we wanted to happen and how they would look. This kind of paired really well with our storyboard I created, but it was also very helpful in helping me understand the terminology such as like tracking shots, soft focuses, zooms. It really helped me kind of develop my understanding of the camera and the actual filming process, even though we obviously ended up changing plenty of our shots on the actual day. So I guess, you know, from some angles we could have been more accurate with our ideas and what was actually possible, but personally it kind of just like really helped my understanding of the whole thing.
Okay, thank you for that. Clearly a lot of work has gone into the pre-production of this, but sort of when you were actually producing it, what skills did you learn?
Yeah, so there was plenty of things I learned, kind of both from things going well or perhaps things I do differently. Something I definitely needed to kind of develop early on was obviously using the camera. So we had our first camera workshop in January this year and I learned how to set up the camera efficiently and effectively. I learned how to bubble the tripod, turn the camera on, etc. We filmed a few little scenes both indoors and outdoors. The outdoor filming was beneficial to our actual filming because obviously we shot it outside. So getting the white balance correct and focus was essential and I had to learn how to do this well. On our shoot day, my skills also developed, particularly through my directorial role. Throughout the day, I found myself getting more comfortable with ordering the people in front of me of kind of what to do, like the people behind the in front of the camera, obviously, and just kind of giving them clear instructions.
Did you have any experience of a directory role before?
Yeah, well, not much. I obviously, during our second camera workshop, I directed a sequence of a conversation. I basically directed two girls in a workshop, Kitty and Alessia. They had a small argument and it definitely like helped me get comfortable and like I learned what type of things to say to people that are most clear to the actor. I also learned that making people act in different ways provides more variety and gives more options when it comes to editing. Although I think this is more time consuming having to kind of obviously like redo takes and stuff, and I was aware of this for our shoot day. Going back to the shoot day, actually, I think we executed this really well when it comes to efficiency and organization. I was looking back at a film I made from our shoot day, my shoot day reflection video, where I edited together lots of clips from the shoot day, and within the clips you can clearly see everyone coordinated and cooperating well together. From making this video, I definitely developed skills of using CapCut. I love CapCut because it's so easy for preparing videos, kind of putting pictures in and videos together and just adding text and stuff like that. I also knew I was going to need to use this later in the process, so this was great practice for that.
How do you think that sort of these production skills that you developed, how was it shown in your actual final film?
I think that the pace of our film and the action that happened definitely needed an organized day of filming. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to kind of get it all done.
That's so impressive. I think I'd get so stressed.
Yeah, it is a lot, but you kind of have to just like push each other through it, kind of do the best you can, I guess.
Was there any other skills you developed on the actual day of filming?
Yeah, I mean, there was so many. It was such an experience that you can't really like fully anticipate what's going to happen. So there's always something to learn. Like specifically something that I developed when shooting was my skills of using the small rig.
What's a small rig?
So we actually filmed lots of the film on my iPhone in the shop using the small rig. So it's basically like a handheld cover for the iPhone with handles and a microphone attachment. I developed my skills of handling this and like how to stably move with it. So I had to adjust to the weight of it, as well as having Dansha close by to me as she adjusted the focus on the Nucleus M focuser. I developed a good understanding of the camera and how it should be moved to create a cool shot. I definitely could have done with more practice beforehand. I had used it once before just around the studio, but perhaps I should have practiced the actual whip pan that I was going to do of the grandma. But nevertheless, it still turned out like I wanted it to after we sped it up in editing.
Yes, I absolutely loved that reveal. I just liked how your film had so many surprises all over the place.
Thank you.
Finally, I'd just like to ask about your post-production process, sort of how that went and what sort of editing skills or technical sort of skills you learnt along the way.
Yeah, so we had a week to edit the final film, like 5, maybe 6 hours in total. So we had to plan it very carefully as to like how we were going to do it so we could get it all done. Prior to this, we did lots of editing in the workshops, which really helped. So we took the practice takes that we had done in the camera workshops and we went into the studio, and then we used the software app Premiere Pro. We edited the conversation together. I got much more confident of using the app over the course of the workshops, kind of learning how to cut audios, how to adjust to the correct length, and how to kind of make the shots blend well together.
Were all these workshops beneficial when it came to editing?
Yes, 100%. I really kind of developed my skills of creating clean cuts, which was obviously essential for the note as it had so many cuts due to the fast pace of it. I do wish though that I did do more work on adding audio and balancing the volume. However, I had other members on my team such as Ryan who were very good at this.
Is there anything else you did when picking your titles? Because it's such a unique mix of genres.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go through plenty of kind of title templates, and finally I picked the perfect one that kind of had a good balance of humor to kind of simplicity. I didn't want the titles to kind of control the screen due to the action in the background being so important. So I developed an understanding of gaining balance with the text in kind of proportion in the back to the background action.
Wow, that's absolutely so impressive. I didn't realize how much work and effort you have to put into like a short film. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun.
Well, thank you for coming on. And everybody watching, stay tuned for next week. We have our special guest Rihanna coming, who's going to be talking about her new soundtrack for the film Smurfs. So remember to keep laughing, and bye!